Okay, here we go. Third method for factoring. So we've talked about GCS and factor by grouping. We are going to continue on and look at quadratic trinomials. So these will have three terms and the biggest exponent is squared. And we're going to use something that we at BHS call AC split for this. And then you'll start to notice some patterns. There's something that teachers call X factor as well. But let's go ahead and get to it. What you need to know is factoring is unmultiplying. So it's kind of like dividing things out and separating them out. So we have this polynomial here, this trinomial, that we want to get back into the form with two parentheses when we multiplied last unit. So we're going to go through this process here with this example, and then we're going to do a lot of practice problems. Okay, so first step is A times C. So A is always that first coefficient, C is always that number at the end without a variable. Okay, so we're going to do A times C. Okay, this is B. And C. So 5 times 8 gives us 40. And then our B goes in the bottom of that X, which is negative 14. And it's really important that you pay attention to signs here because it could really mess you up if you don't. Okay, so here's what we need to do. We need to find the two numbers that multiply to give us 40 and add up to negative 14. Okay, I like to list these off to the side here for students. So I know I can do 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8, 6 and 7 don't work. Okay, so those are my options. So I found the numbers that multiply to give me 40. I need to find the numbers that add up to give me a negative 14. Well, with that, what I have written here, that's never going to give me negative 14. Either is that. So these two are the closest. If I were to change this to a negative 4 and negative 10, those would then add up to negative 14. And then remember, two negatives when you multiply make a positive. So we're actually going to use that 4 and 10, but we're going to make them both negative so that we can have that negative 14. Okay, so pretty simple. So AC split helps us in two ways. The first one is you're going to multiply A times C for the top, and then we're going to find these factors. But afterwards, we need to split this up into 4 terms. So A and C, again, AC split, stay the same. And then we're going to take this 14, negative 14x, and split it into 2 terms using these two numbers that we found here. So we're going to make that a negative 4x and a negative 10x. So hopefully you'll agree that negative 4 and negative 10 add up to give us this negative 14. So we just split it into 2 pieces, and that's okay. Once we're here, we're just going to go back to what we were doing in the last section. We're going to make 2 groups. Squeeze that plus sign in there. We're going to factor out our GCFs. So 5 and 4 can only be divided by 1, but they have an x in common. So if I take out an x from that first time, I'm left with 5x. And if I take out an x from the second term, I'm left with a negative 4. In the second group, I can divide by negative 2, but they don't have any x's in common. So negative 10 divided by negative 2 is positive 5, and 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. So think back to the last lesson. If these two groups don't match, don't just change them to make a match. We made a mistake somewhere, or it's not factorable. If they do match, we're going to pull it out front. And then this and this will make my second group. I'm not going to write 1x, I'm just going to write x, and then minus 2. Remember, the order doesn't matter as long as you have those exact 2 groups. If the order switched, you're good. So that's the process you're going to follow for all of these problems with 3 terms and an x squared as your biggest exponent. Okay, so next one, I'm going to go ahead and make an x right here off to the side for both of them. Might as well do it while I have it open. Okay, and this time you'll notice that my A technically is a 1, and then my C is 6. So 1 times 6 gives me 6. My B is a negative 5. So the numbers that multiply to give me 6 are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. This is a very common mistake. It's really important to remember that if I have a positive 6 up here, they either both need to be positive or both need to be negative. Okay? So if I make those negative, negative 1 and negative 6 don't give me negative 5, they give me negative 7. Okay, so I use negative 2 and negative 3. So from here, we're going to do that AC split. So A stays the same, C stays the same. We're going to split that into two parts using these two numbers we just found. So minus 2x and minus 3x. We're going to make two groups. And the only thing I can take out of that first group is an x, so I'm left with x minus 2. And the only thing I can take out of the second group is a negative 3, so I'm left with x, and then 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. If these two groups do not match, okay, we're in trouble. We need to go back and check it. If they do match, we're going to pull it out front, and then these two terms make my other group. Okay, for the next one, AC. So 2 times 21 is 42. And then my B in the middle is a positive 13. So I'm going to list out the numbers that multiply to give me 42. I have 1 times 42. I have 2 times 21. I have 3 times 14. 4 doesn't work. 5 doesn't work. 6 times 7 works. Okay, so go through and check which of these add up to give me 13, and I'm going to go with 6 and 7. Okay, so A and C stay the same. So 2x squared and a plus 21 stay the same. I'm going to split this middle term to have a 6x and a 7x. And then we're going to go ahead and factor by grouping. So two groups. In the first group, I can divide by 2x. So I'm left with 1x plus 3 when I divide by 2x. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Take one of the x's out. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Take the x out. And then I can divide 7 and 21 both by 7, but they don't have any x's in common. So I get 1x plus 3. And notice that these match, so we're in good shape here. I don't typically write the 1 there, so when I write my final answer, I'm just going to write x plus 3. I don't know why that should switch to black. And then I'm going to write 2x plus 7. Okay, I'm going to have you, oh, nope, let's do this next one. What can I divide all three of these by? Okay, think about that. It's going to make it easier if you divide out 2 first. So we really want to deal with this for now, and then we'll come back to the 2. Okay, makes life easier there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my x's in. And this time, my a is technically 1. So 1 times negative 12 is negative 12, and then b goes in the bottom. So the numbers that multiply to give me 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Since this is a negative, one of my numbers has to be negative because a negative times a positive is what would make that negative there. So I'm going to go ahead and see what happens if I make these numbers negative. So 1 and negative 12, definitely not negative 4. 2 and negative 6 is negative 4. So we're going to go ahead and keep our A and C the same. And then split that B up using the 2x and minus 6x. And go ahead and factor by grouping. So I'm going to factor out an x there. Only thing they have in common is x. And then I'm going to divide by negative 6 in that second group. So notice these two match. I get x plus 2 times x minus 6. I'm going to leave you to try this one here for a second. So hit pause and then come back when you are ready. Okay, your final answer should be x plus 15 times x minus 2. Okay, if you're not sure about that, hit pause right now. Let us know. We can help you out. Let's see if there's any more I want to do, or if we're going to let you try everything on your own for now. And I think I want you to do these 4 as practice, and then we will go through them in class. Okay, so do those next 4 as practice, and we'll go through them in class. If you are really stuck, please reach out and ask for help. Have a great day.